Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
That is right. First episode of the new year.
That's right, 2024.
So, sorry that we're late again this week on this. Don't worry, this is the last time.
We're gonna get right back on schedule.
Next week we will be back to uploading on Thursday mornings. It'll be fine. Just a lot of holiday cheer, travel, everything. However, there's no shortage of new and exciting Yu-Gi-Oh news. I say that actually, that kind of is a bit of a shortage of news. But there's a lot of other stories in this podcast. I'm interested in that. But first and foremost, I have a review from us.
It's our first 1 out of 5.
Actually, they don't have a name. It's just leave a 5-star review is their name. I guess their username. My favorite podcast. I've only just got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2022 when Master Duel came out, and I wasn't caught up with any Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge until I found this podcast. I listen in every week at work, and it makes time fly so much faster. I love the fun and honesty you two have about the subjects you talk about. Thanks for making such an authentic and entertaining podcast for everyone to enjoy. Fire emoji. And he left 5 stars. So thank you, leave a 5-star review.
That's what you always tell them. You do always tell them. But it's okay to leave a 1-star review. Paul will understand.
So yeah, if you guys listen to the podcast on any different podcast site, we're on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon.
And speaking of leaving us things, we need more questions for our pot over here. So go ahead and get ahead.
People weren't really going to be able to buy a new set, although I guess if Konami had their way, they'd probably try to get you to buy one.
Right now, Konami's counting their dollars.
Yeah, they probably are. I wonder how Yu-Gi-Oh! Just in 2023 ended up doing. We won't know until
we won't
March or something when Q4 sales numbers.
Well, yeah, once those numbers come out, then we'll have a better idea.
And my suspicion is just
fine.
Rarity Collection probably carried pretty hard towards the end of the year. That's
likely.
probably a really popular gift, actually. Just for people getting
box of Rarity Collection for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player in your life.
We've sung its praises a billion times, but the fact that you can get, there's 3 particular staples that we have actually been using a bit recently. Triple Tactics Talent, Infinite Impermanence, and Ash Blossom. Just the fact that you can just grab that set and just get those cards.
So good.
In just, exuberant numbers. So you can just fill them in and all
throw them in every day.
Stuff. I was using Vanquish Soul.
And I was playing Snake Eyes.
Yeah, and we just had a good time. Physical and, just in person, face to face.
When I could you asked one of my wanteds. You know what you did.
Well, hopefully, guys, that doesn't interrupt too badly for you. But anyways, yeah. So we had a pretty good time. It definitely just reminded me that Triple Tactics Talent is such a fun card for casual play.
Because we talked both retroactively and proactively, and it did not in any way feel like it ruined our game.
I definitely think that cards like Imperm and cards people might have their qualms with Triple Tactics in particular. It can be pretty polarizing. But yeah, so it's if your opponent does do something in your turn, you can use it and keep playing or kind of turn the tables or whatever. So I don't know. I find that to be pretty cool.
It does. It may do a little too much, but
yeah, so just a little update on that. But more importantly, Maze of Millennia is going to be the first set that drops this year.
Earl.
These Fighting Flame Swordsmen.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. The new Flame Swordsman and the Fusion Monster.
Pair of cards. I know with the Maze of Millennia, what was the first one called? Maze of Memory. Kind of anime viewer sort of person where you see these products come out and there's no. Whereas the anime cards, right? And so this is
that immediately connects to something that you know.
So these have become sort of the anime things because last year it was Gate Guardian and we got the Blackluster Soldier. Earthbound Immortal kind of support is in here, these Earthbound Prisoner cards.
Oh yeah, the kind of expanded
Earthbound Servants.
Earthbound support.
But there are still
Pyro,
your Pyro Rodat. Also Transaction Rollback, which
one's that?
It's this new trap. It allows you to reuse trap effects or something like that.
That's finally coming out? You told me about that months ago.
Sorry, pay half your life points, target a normal trap in your opponent's grave. This effect becomes that trap's effect. And you can also banish this from your grave to target a normal trap in your grave and use that trap's effect. So it's very useful for a Labyrinth deck in particular.
Gotcha.
Not that they weren't viable before.
Yeah, they've been viable for a minute.
But yeah, so that's going to be coming up. The next story in our little podcast here, that's the Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 player, what's in them, but we did get a little bit more of a look at them, and
we're now more confused than ever.
Yeah, now people kind of are not entirely happy. So basically we got a little preview of a few of the cards from like one of the Konami social media pages, and we saw Dark Magician.
Makes sense.
We saw Elemental Hero Sparkman.
That's okay.
We saw Swords of Revealing Light. We saw Magic Cylinder.
All right, these are okay.
I'm very interested in these products. We've expressed that pretty readily in the past, that climb at times. People saw this and they were not super happy about it, though. I saw a lot of backlash about this on Reddit and some on Twitter where people are like, what are they doing? These cards suck. Like, why are they trying to teach Yu-Gi-Oh! With Elemental Hero Sparkman in 2024? And...
But Paul, I think you left a card out.
Oh, what else was there?
There was one more card in that list.
Oh, okay.
Eldritch, the Golden Lord.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I have to mention that. Okay. So we knew Eldritch was going to be in there because he'd been revealed a little while before. So, yeah, Eldritch is also in there. So it kind of feels a little... I find myself a little bit in the middle. So some people are saying, like, this is a terrible thing. Like, just the product sucks because, like, this isn't what modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, right? No one was playing Elemental Hero Sparkman even 10 years ago.
That's
so,
a fact.
Why is it in here? Why are you, like, printing these useless vanillas? And also, it kind of feels like, okay, there's maybe some DM pandering with, like, Dark Magician just thrown in there.
Gotta have
for the
them.
sake of. But then also, like, how is it going to teach you summoning mechanics realistically for you, like, using these vanilla cards? Like, where does the Zeus and the Manatium Prime Heart come in? And we won't know until the product comes out. So, like, it's the best we can do now is conjecture.
And it's not great. Conjecture is not great.
But what do you, just having seen, like, kind of Magic Cylinder again, Swords of Revealing Light, like, how does it make you feel for the product?
I feel much the same as kind of the general discourse. Just very confused on the direction and goal of this product. Because I think we all made our own assumptions of what this product is. And these reveals have kind of confirmed we're wrong. Because it can't be, the goal of the product can't be to bring you up to speed on modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, at least most of the cards we've seen now are anything but modern Yu-Gi-Oh! We know there are modern cards in it, but then why are we going all the way back to 2005, back to 2002?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's tough because in order to teach certain elements of Yu-Gi-Oh!, a few cards probably have to be in there in some form or fashion. Like, in order to teach how attack points work, you've got to have a 1500 attack point monster and like a 1600 attack point monster to swing over the 1500 attack point monster. Like, on a baseline level, you have to have that.
But they could use an 18 and a 19.
But they could use like maybe higher stat total monsters. I guess the harder part for me is what would teach best? And it's like, I don't know that I have an answer because this is a ragtag group of cards. I do think they probably could have been a little more cohesive or a little bit more modernized with their selection of them. We still don't even know what the full list is, so withholding some judgment there.
That's going to be terrifying.
But it kind of made me realize, I don't know if there's like an archetype or anything that would do a better job because so many archetypes are in their own little silo of how they
specifically do their mechanic.
They do their mechanic. Oftentimes it cheats a little bit. Like, if you take your 3 favorite decks of the last few years, they probably kind of just dance to the beat of their own drum and don't really, like, they wouldn't really actually teach anyone Yu-Gi-Oh! Super well. So, like, for instance, we were playing, like Vanquish Soul. That's, like, a deck that's got a very unique mechanic, like a set of mechanics, the monsters bouncing and revealing and stuff. And no other archetype plays like it, but that's almost kind of the issue, is, like, no other archetype plays like it. So I can play, like, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of beginner-level starter deck, but then the moment I sit down and play against someone who's using Vanquish Soul, it just won't really, like, feel resonant at all.
I feel like mid-range decks especially struggle from that whole siloed strategy thing. A lot of times our mid-range decks are all about just kind of gaining resources and repeating loops, but these are extremely specific
these
things
mechanics
that they do.
are so unique to them.
Combo decks are a bit more... in a weird way, they're a bit easier to wrap your head around.
Their difficulties come from a different place.
Yeah.
Their difficulty, I think, just comes from the combo is very long, and you may not know where to stop it or, like, where to interact with it. But I think what you're saying about mid-range is true, too, where, like, a lot of decks they've got their gimmick, and if you don't understand how the gimmick works and, like, how each card plays into it, it's like playing against them can be kind of borderline miserable.
Cause yeah,
Like you just don't know what anything does, and then like you get annoyed because you kind of like you'll walk right into like, you know, a booby trap, but you also just never really knew how this archetype worked. Like Valence, it's that sort of thing.
I think it's easier with control and combo decks because their gameplay style. It's more ubiquitous across multiple archetypes.
Yeah.
Like a lot of trap based control decks, they essentially play the same.
Yeah, you're kind of 1-for-2ing with traps and stuff.
That's all that you want to do at the end of the day. Combo decks is just take
Keep
little
summoning.
monsters, make them into big monsters,
Yeah,
and as
keep
many
it
of them as
keep
you can
it
get.
going. So I don't know like what this product would have to really do to accurately reflect that. Like I don't think that they want an entry-level product to be a combo fest.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, you and your friend who just kind of realized, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's still a thing. Let me like try this thing out, and asked you to memorize a 20-step combo, and you know, you got to memorize the lines or whatever.
I remember
right? Like,
when the Ice Barrier structure deck came out, and that was too many combos for me from like an entry level product. I was like, okay,
yeah.
this deck just wants to combo into synchros, and I don't want to do all that.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure, you know, how effective this will be. I do think though that it's not. I think that some people probably had the wrong idea about the product though. I think some people saw like the Zeus and thought that this was going to be a chance for them to like reprint a lot of meta staples in this product, and they're maybe disappointed that like that this doesn't have reprints of more like extra deck cards. Like maybe they should be throwing in you know more of them.
It's another one of those consequences of us as the audience. We see these teasers and reveals, and we get into our heads what we think they should be or what we want them to be, and it'll never be that. So then we're disappointed.
And then it kind of feels like, oh my, Konami is like ignoring their fans. They're releasing these terrible products, and they don't know what people want. But in reality, I mean, yeah, like this, it is a 2-player intro product, so it's really not meant for most of us that are watching this podcast.
Most of us don't have a friend to play with.
Ouch. Yeah. But I do, but you know, like, would it have been nice for this sort of product to have like a lot of hand trap reprints, maybe throw in like a Pot of Prosperity, some triple tactics cards, give you some imperms? Yeah, and I actually think that it probably could afford to have a few of them in there because of what we were saying earlier, where like imperm and like triple tactics and stuff are the modern day staples that like allow you to stay in the game and kind of tango a bit.
That's how you play Yu-Gi-Oh today.
So I do hope to see like negation cards or something in here in some capacity.
I'm not sure how you're gonna negate my Sparkman, but good luck.
But yeah, I don't think that this I don't think that this product was ever going to have like, you know, your SP Little Knight like, you know, in it.
But wouldn't that be insane?
Wouldn't it be good though? So we'll see. I mean, you can rest assured we will be getting our hands on these products when they come out.
That's a fact.
I would love to, you know, have a crack at these and see how it is that Konami intends to teach a person in 2024 how to play this crazy ass game.
I'm curious at is the goal to get them to modern Yu-Gi-Oh or get them to Yu-Gi-Oh? You know, like
I wonder what the next step from this structure is intended to be. Because like one thing with a 2-player product like this is like you can't really tell someone to like jump straight to Age of Overlord as the next product to buy, right?
Nope, definitely not.
Because like Age of Overlord, outside of being like a pretty like high meta set, it also, I mean, it's just a bunch of archetypes. Mm-hmm. So like jumping from the structure deck straight to playing or the Horus cards or like something, it's probably going to be kind of hard.
Maybe you jump to another structure deck like the Fire King deck.
Yeah, I think that could be good. If they point you towards that, that'd be great because the Fire King deck is kind of going to be the top contender for a bit or one of the top contenders. So there's something there, but I definitely worry, like I do with all Yu-Gi-Oh, like onboarding things, just like where do you direct people next? I think that you're right that maybe just the Fire King structure, Trap Trick structure, maybe even Jack Atlas if you find that you're more into the combos.
We've had some good structures lately, and I think the hardest part for a lot of new players, they bought those structures and they're like, okay, I got this, but I actually don't know how to play this game.
Yeah. So I mean, and I guess it's maybe there could be something with card shops. They could kind of have like I don't know if they're planning to have like a launch event of some kind. Like they're doing that sometimes with like starter and structure decks, but I don't know that if I even. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know how that works with a product that's meant to be like a scripted game, or maybe you don't play it
True.
scripted. I don't know.
I also think like, would people even? Because the people that come to Card Shop are probably more like regulars anyway. Like I don't know if they need to learn how to play.
Maybe the event would be bring a friend to the card shop.
Konami would never.
I know.
And it's sad because like I know that they should do that. I have told Konami like reps that they should do that. Like bring a friend. We talked about it last week, like a league
Did we?
system. Like
Oh, we did.
Brought up
We
the whole
did.
like leagues. I mean, it's not like 1-to-1, but yeah, like bring a friend and then teach them with the 2-player deck, and then you get a promo card as a reward.
Yeah, you know it would be insane, and like Konami should really listen to me on this. Hear me out. So it's a bring a friend promotion. So you have to bring a friend to your card shop, and they have to sit down and play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh, a full match. And when they're done, you receive a copy of SP Little Knight.
You know what's so crazy? Okay, so like we're like, it sounds like satire, like we're joking, kind of. But do you know that would actually be
That'd
like
be huge.
that would be so big. Like, you know how many competitive types like who like I need my SP Little Knight.
They'll drag
They will drag anybody. They'll drag.
But you don't have to be competitive. A casual is like, wait, I can get an SP Little Knight.
Exactly.
Grab anybody. And if they have to play a game, then there is a chance that
there
they'll
will be some
actually
retention.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, there will be some retention. Like,
And
sure,
the thing is,
some people will just leave.
Konami
But like,
can just do that. They can just print the card. It only has value on the secondary market to them. It's just any other card. They could just do that, but it doesn't have to be SP Little Knight.
That's
It could
so
be
crazy.
just very good staples.
yeah, it's so crazy. What if they did that?
That would certainly bring people to the shop. Like, there's just no
I would
way.
like 50% royalties. Well, actually, he deserves. You thought it was your idea.
Alex
deserves the
it's a
royalties.
killer idea.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah.
just to get some of the established players into it.
Though they put that Zeus in there, so now they got us thinking.
Yeah, so who knows? I think they got people a little bit riled up, and then maybe I feel like they haven't delivered yet. But we shall see, won't we?
Pod is the only reason I bring these up. Normally, I don't pay too much attention to OCG reveals.
Okay, any
but
cool highlights or themes?
Yeah, so we got a new Earthbound card. I didn't.
Is this separate, I guess, from the stuff that's
Yeah,
in Mesa?
this is Legacy of Destruction.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, so did you know Zoma the Spirit's in Earthbound Immortal?
I didn't.
So
I thought Bakura used that.
he did. Okay. The new Zoma the Spirit is Zoma the Earthbound Spirit.
Oh.
And in the Earthbound Immortal archetype, you actually just need the name Earthbound. You don't have to have the Earthbound Immortal. So
yeah, because the new cards are like Earthbound Servants. And
defense standard, but it has an effect. Monsters your opponent controls that can attack must attack this card. And if this card, special summoned by this card's effect, is destroyed by an opponent's attacking monster, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to double the original attack of the monster that destroys them of 3,000.
Oh yeah, that's really bizarre. I did read this card.
Yeah,
and I was like, why are they capped at 3? I guess
it's a weird.
Because I guess it'd be like some FTK where you give your opponent a monster, or like you pump up their monster to like 1 billion attack and then force it to attack and stuff.
That actually would be very doable.
It'd be kind of funny if that could happen, though. I know Konami's trying to play it safe, but I think they should get a little crazier.
Not too impressive, but it is a Zoma reprint, and any decks that use trap monsters, that use generic monsters like Zoma, can make use of it.
Yeah,
I remember we used to do that with Uriah back in the day, remember?
True.
That's Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames. I know a lot of y'all don't know about the old school.
It's kind of crazy. There are new people who probably have no fucking clue. I was like, I don't care what this dumbass.
Someone tweeted, I wonder what China's up to. And they post a deck, seemingly random cards at weird ratios, lots of 2 ofs, 1 of, some 3 ofs. And then there, sitting at 2 of in the deck, is the Wicked Avatar. It has a Cold Wave-esque effect for multiple turns. There's just a lot of experimentation.
Try out, like experimenting with different stuff.
We used to think that we here in the TCG were at the cutting edge of Yu-Gi-Oh! But
when those territories were actually like giving their feedback on how much they did or didn't like the products, and they were saying that while they liked the products, that they kind of wanted, they really more so wanted to get like modern cards.
Zendar Mission product makes a lot of sense. But is that the same in those Asian territories?
Yeah, for them, I think they wanted to just get caught up with how the game is being played. And so for them, not to say that everybody felt this way, but just it was a sentiment that
how they experience our experience with Yu-Gi-Oh players in Europe. I wonder how, like, these Asian Yu-Gi-Oh players, how do they see the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
is it
interesting
Is it
because
nostalgic?
I saw like a big difference in just like the amount of like kind of Yu-Gi-Oh decoration and kind of
Showing them off.
there's a lot of those.
They look so nice.
Yeah, they look really cards, I guess, again. Maybe they want more of the modern stuff. I saw they recently got like I should have brought the story, but yeah, there's like a card that had like a typo. Nothing major, but you know. Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's good because I actually have one more OCG card reveal,
Okay.
and that is Crescent Dragon Makazuki no Yaiba. So this is actually a retrain of an older Yu-Gi-Oh card. Who I wish I'd pulled it up. The monster looks like the Joey's monster, like Alligator Sword or something, but it's actually a retrain of a really really old.
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Look up like Crescent. It's a retrain of that. It's a level 7 Dark Dragon. It says during the end phase, this goes be
That
used
feels
for
loosely like Red Eyes support.
And it
level
can
7
be.
Dark Dragon monster. Maybe you get like Dark Armed Dragon or
some deck someday, and we're gonna all be like, "Where'd that come from?"
it is kind of okay. So you know, so it summons itself in the end phase. But if it gets summoned in the end phase, it wouldn't be able to use its search effect. So
That's
it definitely
true.
feels a little awkward, but
It has to be during your end phase. No, it says during
the
end
end phase.
Okay, so
but you summon it.
Paul, I think you hit the nail on the head. I
Okay.
think this is Dark Arm Dragon support. It makes a lot of sense. It's a dark dragon in itself, so it can work towards your dark count. It can search Dark Arm Dragon to your hand, which that's always a thing with Dark Arm Dragon is that it out.
Okay. Well, they
Wait, does that
play
mean
it?
there might be a
No.
Dark Armed retrain?
I mean, they retrained Dark Armed Dragon a while back with like the Xyz monster. Well,
No, we don't want that, Konami.
I mean,
Don't
they're
do that.
vaguely related in effect.
Be that for Dark Arm Dragon, even if it's
Yeah.
not completely.
It's going to be going into effect here in a few days, but
Mm-hmm.
we've also gotten reveals of the next set of like archetypes that will be added in. So we're going to be finally getting Gold Pride in Master Duel, and we're waiting on. I think Super Heavy Samurai is the last of the things from Cyberstorm Access that hadn't yet been implemented into Master Duel, and I know that Transcendosaurus was the last Wild Survivors deck builder kind of archetype
I've never seen someone play that archetype.
ever. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard anybody play it physically. At least one nice part about it being in Master Duel is that it means like the barrier to playing it is at least a little bit lower.
Right.
Like you can
Getting
just-
your hands on the ultra rares is annoying.
Yeah, I think the Malaria is also going to be getting added in that set. It's kind of a smaller thing since you mentioned it earlier with the deck. So, you know, some cool Master Duel stuff. I am, as someone who's not like super into any of those archetypes, it's not very exciting for me. I might give Gold Pride a crack.
Does Master Duel still have the super heavy Link monster?
Yes, I think it's still legal in Master Duel.
I
think
might try
only
playing it
banned,
there.
They banned.
Oh yeah,
They
Soul
banned-
Piercer, right?
Yeah, they banned the whole
Yeah.
thing that has like an FTK with it,
Which is really
but-
good, but it's fine. It's fine.
But I would like to see-
I might try it. I'm not might. I will try it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it,
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool to see like Super Heavy Samurai.
and that's out right now.
It's like in 3 days.
All right, guys, stay tuned. Next episode of the pod, I will have an update on my progress with Super Heavy and Master Duel. You will hold me to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I never got super into super heavies, but they're just more archetypes. Like, you know, Master Duel is just getting more stuff. I will never complain about more people being able to play the decks they like. So,
Right.
as for me, I haven't really. I've kind of tapered back on playing a little bit because I'm just waiting on the new ban list to kind of kick in. I think Chaos Roller has scarred me so much that I really don't want to hop into ranked and look at his bitch ass again.
I can't
So-
think of a card that you've mentioned more in disdain than Chaos Roller.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't. Everybody hates Max C and Master Duel. I'm telling you, man, like shit like Chaos Roller and Block Dragon will run you ragged.
I do hate.
I
Block
do not
Dragon.
like
that's
those
my
cards.
that's my Chaos Roller is Block Dragon. I hate
Yeah,
that
I
card.
do not like those cards. But yeah. Other than that, I know Master Duel. I think there was also like a New Year campaign
Oh,
that they're doing where you can like get some master packs and get like a special background and stuff. So for like a discount of gems that you can pay. So if you haven't already taken advantage of that, definitely do so.
what's the best deck you can build out of Master Packs?
Anything. I mean, master packs have everything.
Oh, they do have everything.
Yeah, the master pack I think contains just every card in the game, outside of maybe like a very small handful of.
Maybe some of those limited cards.
It's actually one of the problems with buying master packs is that it's the worst use of gems to buy because it can be
The
literally
card pool is
anything.
just too large.
Yeah, whereas like you'd rather buy a more concentrated pack with the most of the cards from the archetype that you're building. But
Wait,
still
what's the
worth
pack
it.
that has only like old cards? Or
Those are the
weird
legacy
cards?
packs.
What's the best deck you can build with legacy packs?
That's a great question. You could probably put like a rudimentary like little hero or
Like next time you're on
Neos
stream,
deck,
Paul needs to
maybe.
answer that question for me.
I mean, so I think I don't know if anybody's done it because like Simo does that series Master Duel Masochist. I finally got around to watching a couple episodes of it.
Oh, yeah?
It's a little different though because he plays it with master packs.
Oh,
so basically,
okay.
like he has to just play master packs and build with whatever he gets. Random stuff he can't like dismantle or or craft
Just
anything.
the
He just whatever
wildness
he
of
gets.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Embrace it.
I don't know if anybody's done like something with just legacy packs though.
Legacy
That'd be
of the
hard.
Duelist.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that'd be hard because legacy packs suck. But also,
Paul will do it, guys.
it's easy to get legacy packs just by playing, and you can't dismantle any cards that you get from them. So,
Woo!
yes, they're really hardly considered a reward, but
They exist.
yeah. So that's just a little bit of Master Duel news. Nothing super duper crazy. I think that's like more or less it on the Yu-Gi-Oh side.
I got nothing else.
I don't feel like I'm forgetting anything. I mean, there's just the year's kind of getting started. There's products on the horizon. So
Yeah, we've got plenty coming.
So yeah, it'll be exciting moving forward. But anywho, any other card game stories?
I actually have a handful of stuff about Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering.
Oh, do you?
I do have a handful.
Okay, I've got a few card game stories as well. They're not loading on my pocket thing, so I'm gonna have to pull them up on another.
That's
Anyways, go
okay.
ahead.
I can distract them with mine.
Okay, all right, I have them. But yeah, you first.
All right, so this one's mostly about the TCG itself. MTG head designer has had complaints from many players over product fatigue.
Okay.
So, as you know, many people know that Magic the Gathering releases products at like this crazy rate where they're constantly filling up shelves. Players always have new products to buy, and they're tired. They're tired. We're tired. Everyone's
So wait,
tired.
where did this come? Like, did he, like the lead designer, acknowledge this? Or
Yes. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
pulling. I'm trying to find the best part to read from.
You read it. Oh,
I could. I just don't want to.
pad the runtime.
Fine. One of the biggest issues facing Magic the Gathering players over the past couple of years has been product fatigue, as many feel Wizards of the Coast has been releasing too many sets at far too fast of a pace for Magic fans to keep up with. That could be due to financial reasons or simply because fans feel like they're not getting enough time with a new set before the next one is on their tables. I actually agree with that. It's a common complaint among fans and high-profile streamers, and one that finally seems to be getting Magic the Gathering head designer Mark Rosewater in a recent post on his Blogatog. Blogatog.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, Blogatog blog.
Blogatog. I like that.
And
it's fun to say.
MTG fan recently asked Rosewater whether the current release schedule is planning on slowing down over the next couple of years, and wondered how to communicate the desire for one to Wizard of the Coast without voting with my dollar, which I guess without having to just not buy product.
How do you let them know that you are feeling fatigued? Okay, interesting.
So I'm trying to find the quote because there was one, but now it seems to pivot.
Yeah, I wonder what he's got to say.
It said, yeah, that's weird.
Well, hold up. I'm gonna look and see if I can find it.
Oh, I'm
And-
just going to open up the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that it usually solves it. Sometimes when I save in here we go. In response, Rosewater claimed that he's been receiving complaints about the current release schedule from many players and that using social media is actually quite helpful. He also claims that he and other social media facing individuals at Wizards of the Coast have been passing on these complaints to the higher ups who decide the release schedule and how many products are released in a calendar year. So while yes, that is acknowledgement, it's also him saying that that's not really up to me.
So I guess that kind of makes sense because he's just the designer of them, but like he has higher ups that will just tell him like, "Hey, make more,"
Yeah.
or like we're gonna kind of dictate how much. Yeah. Now that said, it's interesting that he's even allowed to say that.
Yeah, it's
Like-
certain other companies.
'Cause I know, like, there's some other companies where, like, even just the idea, like, because what he's saying here effectively is not like that it's good or bad, or he even likes or dislikes it. So he's really not giving like a super committal response. Rather, he's just saying it is good that players are able to voice their pleasure or displeasure with this, and then I encourage them to do so.
Yes.
While I am not the person who can make the decision like that you are ultimately seeking, I have heard you, and if you continue to do it, maybe the powers that be will hear you, and, you know, something can come of that. Yeah, you know, so that's good. It's just nice to see him be able to even say that.
Yeah, this, community engagement is one of those things that I feel that's been getting better in the gaming and TCG spaces, but not every company has figured that out or how to do it well. This is a step in the right direction. Maybe it's not the best thing in the world, but it's certainly a good step.
Do you think that there are too many Magic products?
Yes.
I have an opinion on it, but I'm such an outsider that, okay.
Yeah. As someone who's been really into the product release schedule of Magic at the tail end of 2023, pretty much the last half of last year, I've been really dialed into the products that have been releasing and what's been coming out. And my head was spinning at points where I'm like, okay, a new set release. It has a set booster, as a collector booster. It's got new commander decks that come with it. And by the time I got my hands on everything that I wanted from those sets, the next set was right on the horizon, and it was coming out with a set booster, collector booster. And, you know, every collector booster has exclusive rarities that you specifically want your cards in, so it can take time to get those cards. And God forbid there are new commander decks to go with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I think I've covered this in the podcast before, but, like, Magic the Gathering, like, scares me. It's nothing to do with actually the difficulty and everything to do with the amount of products.
It's a lot.
Like, when I walk into the card shop, I'm just like, there's so many. Like, there's so many different decks. And it's, don't get me wrong, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has its issues with, like, kind of product overload a little bit. I think, like, the latter half of last year kind of could feel like that at points, where they were just like, okay, product, like, just new thing. But with Magic, it's insane to me that, like, you know, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like there's like a new core set every 2 months, whereas like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's every 3 months. But I feel like Magic, it's like there's like a core set every 2 months, like just about maybe.
They move so
and
fast.
Then each core set comes with like, I suppose 4 new commander decks.
Usually,
or at least
2. Or is it, I think it's 3.
Yeah,
could be 3 or 4.
2 to 4.
I get
2
confused.
to 4 of them, and I'm just like, it's so wild. Like, and then each core set. It's like there's a regular set, and there's the collector's version of the set, and there's also like the draft version of the set.
Yeah,
now, I know that moving forward, they're going to be combining the draft version with the regular version, so that won't really be a thing. But still, it's just a lot. Like, it's just a lot of products.
Leads to a lot of products sitting on shelves.
Yeah, and I'm always so you go to this shop, and I'm just like, God damn, like there's so much stuff on the shelf. I don't know what, like, I guess I get a little overwhelmed with like what to buy. And it's made me actually, in a weird way, resonate with like these Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you know, we'll get comments on our videos or like on social media. It's like, hey, like I'm getting back into this. What do I buy? And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Perspective, that can already be a little overwhelming. Like, what would I recommend somebody actually purchase today? And it's actually a harder question to answer than you would think.
Right.
Because I can't actually just say buy Rarity Collection, because Rarity Collection doesn't actually give you a deck.
Yeah, it just gives you
some
things
staples
for your decks.
But then I also don't think I could even tell them to buy like Age of Overlord, because that also doesn't really give you a deck.
And
so both, or do you get like a structure? I guess you get a structure, but if you don't like the one recent structure, that might be all that's on the shelf. So I guess in that way, like Magic is giving you a lot of options, but it's also like it's a bit too much.
It can be hard to find your jumping off point in Magic. And actually, I have a small anecdote. I was at the shop right before I left for the holidays, and they had one collector's booster from Commander Masters left on the shelf. Now, there's plenty of Magic products on the shelf, but they had just one collector's booster. And what's one of the issues with their product release, since every set had a collector's booster. These are, you know, inordinately expensive packs that they don't move it out. Once the set kind of has passed, those boosters do not move very fast because of how expensive they are. And so they're sitting here with this one Commander Masters pack, which came out in the summer, I believe.
Yeah, Commander Masters was, like early summer.
It's been a while since then. There's been plenty of product after. And like, hey, Alec, do you want to buy this Commander Masters collector's booster? It's like you want to open it on your channel? You want to buy it? Like, well, I mean, I feel like I want to buy something Magic related today, but like, I don't know if I want to go all the way back to Commander Masters.
Yeah, I guess there's also there's that fear of like, if I buy like a Commander deck that's even just a few months old, it feels like it might be more dated more quickly because there's so many. Although my understanding is that that's not really the case because of like the balancing in Magic is much more around like rotation and
yeah.
So,
It
like,
depends on what format you want to dive into, and actually, it really just depends on what format you're trying to play here.
which like also. It's gonna sound so hypocritical of me because I know like I'm a big proponent of like Yu-Gi-Oh needs more alternative formats and stuff. Konami should support all these things, but I do see the other side of it where it can just be overwhelming. Like to be, you know, someone wants you to get into Magic and then they first have to pick like which
format.
Which format are you gonna play? Because each format literally has like different products.
Yeah.
Like entirely, created for it, and it can be a lot. So. Anyway, so I guess get back to this Mark Rosewater quote. I hope that they maybe slow it down a little bit. This is from a Yu-Gi-Oh player's perspective, so take it with a grain of salt. I know like, I'm an idiot. I don't play Magic. I don't know anything. If there are Magic people who are listening to this who have not had an issue with the rate of releases, please let me know like a little bit more about that. I would love to hear it because I feel like they have too many.
Yeah.
I know you and Larry play. And like, you know, obviously like Larry, like he wants to kind of build
Lost Caverns, but Ravnica Remastered has released, and now we're looking forward to the murders at
Markov Manor.
Markov.
Mavlov.
Look, got
just
limited
like
time,
income
limited funds
to be like just like buying all of this stuff. So,
but that's not all I have for Magic the Gathering.
oh, okay, you got one more.
Yeah. So my next story, Wizards Magic the Gathering Secret Lair change is great news for scalpers.
What is Wizards Magic the Gathering Secret Lair change?
Wizards of the Coast announced on two number of copies get made, and once they're gone, they're gone. Oh. It claims that this will expedite shipping and allow secret layers to reach buyers more quickly. This is true, but the change will make the print to demand model is a great model for the consumer because you can take your time coming to a decision.
Yeah.
But you get the gist here. These guys and get your order in now.
Well, you know, I'm not a big fan of drop culture. I don't really care for like it's like a limited time drop. Hurry, like be here, get it. Right, like experiences as a consumer in general.
My question becomes this: was the time from ordering a secret layer to the delivery?
Okay, so what is like the most recent secret layer, if you know?
The last one I remember was My Little Pony.
Okay, so all right,
that wasn't the last one. It's the one.
Standard time. If someone wants to fill us in, you order it from like your card shop and they put in like all the orders and then that's where it comes.
I saw it on the Magic Gathering website. You can order on their website. I don't know if you can order any other way.
Okay,
but you do similarly put your order directly into them. Now they're claiming that this will make it fast by switching models. It will be faster, and they are technically right. It should be able to move faster since they already know how many they're going to make before they do. Mm-hmm. As someone who frequently uses premium Bandais, I guess in a sense that's kind of their secret layer equivalent. With premium Bandai, they do it's print to demand. They put out the order for an amount of days. Everyone puts their orders in, and everyone who orders something on premium Bandai, they get it, barring extraneous circumstances. It happens, but it doesn't always happen. But it takes forever to get your premium Bandai order. And if Secret Lair is anything like that, I definitely understand them switching the model.
Wanting to just be able to make them in advance and send them out to
But if it isn't that long, then maybe this isn't so great.
So in demand that they would be like scalp worthy.
I have seen so it depends on what the collaboration is.
Yeah,
certain secret layers they kind of flop on the secondary market. I say that with quotes because flop is relative. But in others, depending on what the collaboration is, they're very hot and people want to just buy them up really fast on the secondary market.
Because I've never gotten the impression that like Magic is like Pokemon where, you know, like if there's a drop, it's the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like
I've never gotten that impression either, but I'm not really keyed into secret layer culture. So guys, let us know in the comments if you are a secret layer purchaser or have done in the past. How do you feel about this change and how you feel about your experience in general?
Yeah, this is one of those articles where like they're people being angry is like Twitter things they pulled up or something.
No, this time it was just the author themselves was just
quite opinionated.
they had feelings on this.
Yeah, they had an opinion or two. Okay, well, Cool. Any other Magic things?
I do. This one actually combines
3 Magic stories?
Yeah, there's 3 Magic stories.
Well, new year, new me, huh? New year, new Magic.
This one it's actually very similar. Another kind of page in our saga of Magic and AI.
Oh dear, all right.
This one's different though. So, AI art generator allegedly scraped Magic the Gathering cards for material.
Well, that's no surprise.
So, AI generated art is just pulling from existing work people have created and throwing elements together to create what the algorithm thinks you want. But it's not often you hear specifics of where an AI program is scraping from. Well, the CEO behind AI art generating program Midjourney, you might have heard of it, allegedly has been training the algorithm on work by Magic the Gathering artists the entire time.
Oh, okay. So they admitted to this or whatever? This kind of just came out?
It does seem that at least someone admitted to this. Okay. It says, Reed Southern, an artist who has worked with companies like Marvel and DC, posted screenshots of what he claims to be interactions on Midjourney's Discord server. They show a conversation between Midjourney CEO David Halls and others, with Halls claiming that he had the program create huge swaths of MTG cards during test sequences in the program's early days and used the work of Magic artists to feed the machine sources to pull from.
I feel like I saw a similar story to this recently too, like a Midjourney kind of like Discord expose.
The Midjourney and other AI programs' Discord servers will always be a hotbed for like information that upsets people.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, it's nice. Oh, sorry, is there more to the?
There's really just a small part here where it says this accompanies new evidence for the ongoing lawsuit against Midjourney, DeviantArt, and Stability AI, which includes a list of the names of over 4,700 artists whose work has allegedly been scraped by Midjourney. The lawsuit, representing artists Sarah Anderson, Kelly McCarran, and Carla Ortiz, claims AI generative software is built upon foundation of copyrighted work. Halls, however, doesn't want to be involved in the plagiarism debate. Well, too late.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to say, for starters, it's nice to know this isn't like a Wizards screwed something up again type of story. I've had their work scraped, so, unsurprising. AI gonna AI. Semi-ethical, more of just the what is art sort of thing. Mm-hmm. For me, I mean these like AI generations now that like they pop up more and more on like Twitter and Instagram doing like text. So just you can't really have it like generate like person standing in front of a Waffle House, kind of be some gibberish sort of thing. Well, what's interesting is that with a lot of AI-generated images, what you'll see is they'll have water scribble that'll be in the corner of in the screen because it was like trained on some photographer's. Oh, after all, you want to start building your own deck, you can add some Star Wars Unlimited booster packs to your play mats, as well as sleeves and soft crates.
So they are definitely. What's a soft crate? I don't know what that is. Something.
Sure.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm glad they're hitting the ground running. They have a full product line. It reminds me of how Lorcana launched. Just too many card games, or at least that's what I'm saying tentatively. I haven't seen a card, and that's what.
It's hard to even pull me away from Yu-Gi-Oh! As it is, and I feel that with games like this, where it's just IP the card game, we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Star Wars is a huge IP, and they will certainly milk it for all it's worth. So, I imagine Larry will probably give this a crack.
And there's a lot of those first mover, and of course, there's the scalpers who will show up just to collect like
in October. Right?
I hope not.
Anything about Star Wars? I think that the pack design is like kind of unique.
I don't want to see it.
That's kind of cool. And the
as long as I don't see them, I'm safe.
So we'll have to show Alec a card or two to get him nice and addicted. Cool.
That's good. Let's get into
Turn down that brightness and pray. Interesting. This is for mobile games, huh?
It'll affect all games, but it will affect primarily mobile games quite a bit. So China announced new laws intended to limit microtransactions and prevent certain predatory practices by gaming companies, affecting the stocks of major Chinese corporations like Tencent. Undergone massive growth over the last decade, with Tencent buying up plenty of game studios like Dying Light maker Techland. China has become the largest gaming market in the world, with many of its players buying microtransactions. That's the most people, and they have a culture of buying these microtransactions.
So what are the new policies?
Let's see.
Very curious.
I'm trying to get them here. Okay. As reported by Reuters, Chinese lawmakers unveiled new laws pertaining to video games. These laws will ban rewards for spending money within a game for the first time. Those first time rewards. So they're gonna ban those rewards where you spend a little bit more and more and get more things.
Right. Okay.
And ban rewards for daily logins.
From the general limit to how much people can spend.
Usually, you're like strongest players on the server.
Right. Yeah.
It's very commonplace. A lot of people start these games to become whales. With that is their like goal. That's what they've gotten used to. That's what they do.
They plan to whale.
I used to think I was a whale until I found out just how much it would cost to be one. I think I'm more of like a. I have not seen, but this is like the Gamer article. Maybe if I went to the Reuters article, I could see the exact amount. Might be.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, that's a good thing.
Because just speaking on the evolution of mobile gaming, because I've been playing mobile games since 2010-ish. A lot of like gacha style games. People clearly want to be able to spend more money in our game. We've created a game that people.
Yeah, I remember once we were like doing this video a couple years back, and we were doing it with a few of our friends. It was like we were teaching them how to play like Yu-Gi-Oh. It was like Trevain and Victor. Game.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what it's called. Dokkan Battle or something. And like I saw the price. He was like in the little premium currency shop. Anything like I've ever even dreaming of paying like anything more than like $20 at the most for like a pack of gems or something.
In some mobile games, the price to max limit break a character, and that's usually spending multiple.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So I've always been like shocked that like a shop can just shamelessly be like, okay, here's this pack for $9.99, then like one for $24.99, then one that's like $59.99, then one that's $129.99.
Yeah, it'd be like
and it's kind of crazy, like
that's without tax.
The spike. So I definitely think that like adding a limit to it is good. I think particularly also when it comes to like kids, which all of these I think apply a lot to kids because they're kids, they can get in these little online games and
they'll steal their parents'
mom's
credit cards,
whatever. So okay, the first one you said was stopping first purchase bonuses.
Yeah, first purchase bonuses.
I know that's big.
That's been huge. It's kind of all over mobile gaming, especially in kind of like Korean, Chinese games. So a lot of like Western games too love to throw in these like first time buyer because a lot of games they launch with the express intention of milking every single dollar they can out of you, which to me is a bad faith game. Not every game does that, but there are a lot of them that do. And they know that they just need to get you into the habit of buying.
Yeah, I know a big concept in in sales and marketing is the first purchase. Mm-hmm. Because people are very strong-willed right up until they've done it one time. You only need them to just buy one. It can be a little bit. Like with a lot of these little mobile games, if I can just get you to spend $1, just 50 cents, you've now suddenly that like the ice has melted on the idea of spending money on this game, and now it's so much easier to convert you to future purchases. So I think that incentivizing that first purchase with like a bonus, if you get the purchase, I do think that like getting rid of that is helping to get rid of a predatory practice.
I've seen first purchase bonuses that only require you to spend 99 cents.
Yeah, they don't care
how much it is. They'll even give you a whole character for doing it
because now they know like you will do it.
Like they just need to get you
of doing it.
Going to that shop page, clicking the premium currency, and buying it. Just get you used to the act of doing it, because once you do it once, you're significantly more likely to do it again.
Oh, so the second one is login bonuses?
That's I think the next one was consecutive purchases.
Consecutive purchase. Oh, okay.
So step-up banners they're pretty common. You usually see them in the more kind of scummy games, but even better games they do them too. But typically, the very first step is very cheap, very good value. It's like, oh yeah, you can get $10 worth of like you get a 10 spin for like less than half the price. And so in your head you're like, oh, that's easy value. I'll go make that purchase. And say, hey, but check this out. If you then buy a second, third, fourth, and then the fifth time, we might give you a ticket that lets you choose a character. And that's a huge in a gacha game where it's all random. Mm-hmm. They'll say you can choose a character if you make it to the fifth step. But the amount you have to put in for each step gets increasingly higher, and usually around the third step, it's no longer like
Yeah, it's not actually good value to money.
Yeah, but and once you get to the fifth step, now the value kind of bounces back in your favor because the estimated value of getting a particular character in many games is so high that it's worth it, but they just want you to get used to spending. They don't care that they're throwing a deal your way. They're not losing money on this.
Yeah, it's all
they just
digital
want you,
like, stuff.
Because really, they could just throw in a package for that lump sum that gives you a selector ticket to pull a character. No, they want you to buy multiple times, just really and
really,
grinding
it
down
gets
your
into the
will.
habit too. Because like you're just used to spending. What is the third one?
And the third one, I think that was the daily login.
The daily login. Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah, I know that's a big one.
That just gets you used to logging in every day. A lot of these games so they can claim their active player base.
Yeah.
They need you to log in so that you're an active user.
And it's habit.
It's
habit forming. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah.
Just get you used to getting in every day because these games know, especially in mobile gaming, time is money. Put in the time and they make money.
Yeah, and just the more often that you have this game open on your phone or whatever, the more passive likelihood that you will eventually spend. Because that, in addition to all of the other systems in place, will simply gradually push you towards a purchase. I was going to say one that I think that they should also add in that I think is really predatory in these online games. I've heard like Pokemon Unite had a pretty big problem with it before. I don't know if this has changed. Is the multi-currency. I've always hated that in games.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's
annoying.
like 3 or 4 kind of different currencies that you're bouncing between. And like you get them all in different ways. And like one you can buy and one you can like sort of buy. So it's like, oh, like you can buy like this will give me it's kind of like money laundering in a way. Yeah.
You move the money through multiple like
each of these things, and that's all I need at some point. So good on them.
Things like people say that this is not likely to move westward. I think it's actually their people and these tech companies,
all that stuff.
So
company,
I could see Europe. Yeah, they take it easy on you,
and like they take it easy on you because
they really do.
Some of these games want everything.
Master Duel is only bad if you don't play, but you still want to get cards.
Yeah.
But if you don't play and put in the time, now you just happen when I build these super heavies.
But good on them. Any other stories? So if your tablet was going down, you might as well.
I still got some more power. Yeah, pour it on this. But it's censoring around the stems from a tweet like it always does. Let me see if I can get to the tweet itself. Oh my God, why did he post such a long? So there was an upset Tekken player.
Okay.
They were mad because Eddie Gordo has not been announced for Tekken yet.
I'm going to look up a picture of him while we're... Eddie Gordo. Okay, cool.
Okay, Eddie Gordo hasn't been revealed yet. It's because the creators of at Tekken are racist and don't care about black characters or dark-skinned people. And Leroy in the game, who are both like very... She goes into this very honestly.
Yeah.
Harada says, if you think you can just claim anything that way and it will pass, you are mistaken. Leroy and Raven will kick your ass, bro.
Yeah,
but you get the idea behind it. But I did a little bit of digging because Harada wasn't responding to everything this guy said. And this guy is really just mad that his two mains are, and he's mad about it. It has nothing to do with whether or not there's black characters in Tekken, because as Harada has pointed out, as people were talking about because it was a huge... Okay, good, it's still up. Harada actually brought something to the table that I'd never thought about. Need to convey the character's personality and charm within a limited amount of time. This is a big difference from designing game characters around narratives. Games where narratives are important and can take their time and show the character's identity. So, how does a fighting game quickly convey to you who this character is and why you should like them when you have to be able to insert your money, select your character, and start fighting within like
So, and I'm assuming that people probably being Twitter or X or whatever, there was probably so many opinions flying around, and some people probably heavily agree with what he said, some people probably called him out and were saying like this is
in the video, so you guys can check it out. There's actually, I recommend reading Harada's tweets. Maybe not really, honestly, and has lots
faith.
of good faith and lots of like nuggets of like knowledge about gaming.
Well, I fucking hate Twitter.
Yeah,
it's like my
Twitter is
least
a
favorite
cesspool.
site ever. It's a cesspool. It's terrible.
Twitter, X, still
would
same.
strongly suggest anybody who's on there limit your use of it or get off it, or like kind of just make random accusations and just like kind of call for someone's head, right? And in this case, trying to actually sort of explain their angle and get feedback, and that's like fine. I just think like Twitter in general is not a great place for actual meaningful discussion. And
like honestly, I think creators and creatives probably just should not really deal with Twitter. I mean, if that
favorite main is because Tekken is racist and blah blah. It's just, you know that's not a good faith argument. That's just someone who's angry, salty, bitter, or whatever.
BS.
But the thing is, like, as the lead designer, a creator, a developer, whatever, like you always have to be like professional. And there's plenty of them, and I kind of hate seeing like that people will, because this happens in every community. Like, he as in Harada is right that like when it comes to like depicting characters in these fighting games, I don't even play a lot of fighting games, but I've always in my mind's eye seen them as games where characters are depicted as in Mortal Kombat, and even they still have a look and feel to them.
I feel like they've toned it down in recent years.
White or black, we just have a plain hairstyle, t-shirt and jeans. Then who would you pick? Like when the character selects screen,
it's up there for
arcade,
30 seconds.
It's barely up there. So I'm like, yeah, I think that's totally.
Because I mean, when you think about it, because I've played a lot of fighting games, never good at them, but I love playing them. And on that character select screen, all the characters have to compete with one another for your click. And in games like Tekken, the culture, they put so much time into design. You're going to have to use some visual representations. That's just the long and short of it. And this actually stuck out to me because I've been annoyed with stereotypes.
Where, like if you were to take the silhouette of like some of your most iconic like video game characters you would recognize. Silhouette, you can still kind of know. It's striking. You know kind of what they're about. And I think or whatever just they all can kind of run together. So you like have to make characters have, like in Street Fighter, Chun-Li's fighting pose, for instance, right? Like kind of the default stance she's like really known for, or like Ryu's or something. You kind of know it partly because like it stands out as a silhouette. Like you're not going to mistake Chun-Li for anyone else just by that alone.
Right.
And so I think he raises a really great point here. I hate that it's to an audience of people who, like on Twitter, where they probably won't all really view that in good faith. There's going to be probably someone who's just like, well, it's racist and you guys are all terrible.
Once again, guys, I do not recommend reading that guy's tweet specifically because he is not arguing in good faith. He doesn't make any good points. He just kind of wastes everyone's time.
But yeah, that's my whole spiel on it. I know people are. I don't like Twitter very much.
But it makes sense to me. You want to making characters that just are visually striking enough where I don't need to read this character's backstory. I get the gist of it, and you click because it works.
Exactly. You're in the arcade. You don't have time to like learn their whole backstory. You just want to pick a character that kind of looks cool to you, or you resonate just a little bit immediately with, and then play.
Leroy in Tekken, he's an old black guy, but he's got like a chain on. He has kind of a kung fu stance. That's all I need. That's all I got. You know what? I looked at it real quick. Click. I already know what I'm doing. You see a guy in like a wrestling leotard and a jaguar mask, and it's like, I think I see what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
You get it.
Click,
like, you quickly understand. So it reminds me also of like the Masahiro Sakurai videos like on YouTube. I know like some people watch those. I watch them a lot. Follow that channel, by the way, Masahiro Sakurai on designing games. It's just a lot of little small nuggets of insight into like the game design process, not just in the angle of like, oh, you should just have more of this in your game or that in your game, or I hate that my main's on it. But it's like the challenges of kind of making your game visually striking or quickly conveying information to players in a limited amount of time, or how do you design a tutorial that quickly teaches people what they want to know without it just being like a blurb of loads of text and like pausing the game every 5 seconds to show them how to do something, right? Like kind of the trials of dealing with like difficulty and so yeah. Okay, well, I've got a couple more stories. I'll run through them fairly quickly so that we don't run like too long here because I'm getting hungry. the Mickey Mouse copyright expired.
Oh,
I know that
my
people have seen
gosh.
this. So Mickey Mouse copyright expiration inspires horror movies, video games, and memes. So yeah, after 95 years of copyright protection, Mickey Mouse is now in the public domain. So at least early versions of Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse. So non-Disney creators can now use them in their own for-profit works. That means if you're a creative and you're designing a game or a movie or a show or whatever, independent video game creators and film directors have announced 2 horror movies and a video game featuring the character, and memes, of course, are spreading online showing Mickey in absurd and sometimes inappropriate scenes, including nautical accidents and even terrorist attacks.
I've seen Steamboat Willie's Willie a few too many times.
Yeah, 1928's Steamboat Willie and Plane Crazy were the first 2 Walt Disney Animation releases to feature Mickey and Minnie Mouse. So the characters were first protected under U.S. copyright for 50 years, then Disney campaigned and received extensions. But as Disney's grip on the intellectual property rights surrounding the earliest version have come to an end, creators have poked fun at the numerous possibilities. So, pretty cool. I've seen a few of these memes. A few are very...
I don't know if cool is the word for it.
I mean, there's some cool things, and there's some also, like, inappropriate things.
I haven't seen a cool thing yet.
Most of it's a little bit unhinged, yes.
I saw Mickey Mouse Demon Hunters being made as a comic book.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to focus on with this, actually, is that it's like that things can kind of fall into the public domain after a while. Mm-hmm. Like eventually everything will like be within the public domain, so there will come a time when like you'll be able to show, I guess, like Luke Skywalker in your own works, which is like crazy to think about. It won't even be like in our lifetimes. I'm sure that they're gonna ensure they extend that as far as they can, but like I think that's kind of a cool thing. So
I have a question. So public domain, that's an American thing, right? What works that aren't American, they don't fall into public domain, do they?
Not an expert on it, don't know. Someone in the comments probably does, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a cool thing to bring up. I'm not even like, I really don't know anything about like Mickey Mouse, like outside of what everyone knows.
I mean, there's not much to know about those old Mickey cartoons. They were just simple entertainment. A lot of people are kind of memeing. I don't care for the aggressive, like for-profit use of the Mickey Mouse image because you didn't make that. Like,
yeah,
I don't. That's what I can't really wrap my head around the rush to try and make money off Mickey Mouse. I'm going to reimagine Mickey Mouse as an astronaut or whatever. And it's like, why don't you just make your work about some astronaut? Why did you have to use...
That's an interesting angle on it, actually. Because I think you have a good point. I know a lot of people are obviously kind of... Disney has a reputation, right? They even mentioned this article. People have riffed on Disney's reputation for tight brand control, and they have also been very aggressive in like lobbying to extend their copyright, like extend general copyright law and stuff like that for like years and years and years and years and years. So I get why this kind of feels like a sticking it to the man sort of thing, and I get it. I know I am by no means like saying like Disney's the world's best company. I know they're not. But I do think that you have a point. Like it's fun to maybe use like Mickey Mouse in like a fun indie game or something, kind of silly, whatever. But I do think that people should focus more on kind of creating your own thing.
Yeah.
Like not that Mickey Mouse can't be creatively used for some fun, but like if you truly are like a creative, and you want to make something, I think that you should try to focus on doing a thing that's like original yourself. Yeah,
your own original thing. I mean, it's not like maybe Mickey Mouse has hit this point where it's considered folklore. I don't know, because everyone makes stories about the Grimm's fairy tales. People have made multiple iterations of Cinderella, Snow White, Little Red Riding Hood.
It's a free recognizability for your project. And right. If something is based on Cinderella, if something's based on Mickey Mouse, you automatically have a little bit more of the public's attention by default than if you make your own original character. So that is true.
But Disney spun off their characters. A great example, I think, is you ever see a Darkwing Duck?
I've heard of it. like a Donald Duck thing.
Yeah, oh, it's like It's similar to like it's kind of like a spin-off of Donald Duck in a way. It's not Donald, but it's Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Blast.
Darkwing Blast. The I think when you're spinning off like a creative work, I mean, I don't know. It feels the creator themselves, or at least the owner, should be the one spinning them off. If someone else were to try and make like Darkwing Mickey, because now that Mickey's in public domain, they want to make their own version of Mickey. Yeah. It doesn't have. I know there's something wrong with the feeling of it. It doesn't feel like.
I think people are a lot of it too is just people are taking their dislike of Disney the company and kind of just using this as one of the few opportunities that the little guy has to kind of like stick it to the big corporation, I guess, in a way.
But what are you sticking it to? They made billions off that little mouse,
and now you can maybe make a few hundred off your indie game. I don't know.
Like, you're not winning anything.
No, there's one also little tiny bit I wanted to add to it is that not all parts, like there are newer iterations of Mickey Mouse that are still under copyright, and also the Mickey Mouse voice even is still, I believe, under copyright. So
that voice,
yeah. So I think like you can't super replicate. I don't know exactly like how that would go, but
I'm sure someone with AI is already on it.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll have plenty of fun. But yeah, I thought it was kind of a neat little story. It's cool that things can eventually come into the public domain. I think that it's like I don't think it's bad that this is happening, but I think you raised a really good point. Actually, I hadn't thought about it. I was like, yeah, maybe just it's fun to maybe riff on them with a few memes and stuff now, but I do hope that more than anything, people are looking to create their own sort of thing in the future. Yeah. Easy for me to say though. I mean, like, hey, I make a channel off of a card game I didn't make. Like, you know, I
mean that's true.
It, so. Okay, last story here is that Twitch is banning implied nudity in latest update to sexual content guidelines. I don't know if you've been following this.
No.
So Twitch has been kind of going back and forth with this sexual content on the website for...
I remember when they made there was like Armageddon, the first change.
I know that there's been so many things. Like, there's been the hot tub meta thing where, the people would be in the hot tubs and they would write your name with a marker and this and that, and they're writing on a giant banana. But now, banana. That's what those will blow up hot dogs and pickles and bananas and, yeah. So
Paul's consumed a lot of this content.
Or whatever. Oh, I've consumed plenty. I really haven't, no. But, I mean, I know of some of the creators, like people, they talk about Amaranth, right? I've, like, seen some of her streams. They're not maybe kid-friendly.
Well, you let your sub expire, didn't you?
I did. I'll have to renew this month. Okay, so then they're just going like kind of back and forth on what they are and aren't allowing. Like they're like, okay, we will allow like NSFW content, but only under these like guidelines. You have to put it under this category. You have to market yourself, and like this is allowed, but that's not allowed. And, you know, whatever. Well, recently I know they had like the big thing with the censor bar meta. I don't know if you've.
I'm annoyed that I kind of missed it.
Okay.
Like, well, yeah, because it's not like I would have at least checked it out had I been in the know.
Yeah, I think,
but I kind of missed it.
It kicked off with that streamer Morgpie or Morgpie. I don't know how you say it, but she was doing these streams where basically the camera is like cut off right at like kind of just the top of the breast. So she's nude or implied to be nude, but like you don't see anything, and so. But it's so heavily implied, and she's kind of just standing there smiling and bouncing around, kind of just like looking at you, and it's, you know, some 13-year-old
and
boy.
And the whole time you're standing at the bottom of the screen like...
Yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of that's the idea. And so people were pretty upset with that. And Twitch, I guess, sort of clarified their stance on it with just them saying like, yeah, that's fine, just this and that. And so then they kind of... So, God, there's so many steps in this because like there's... So many little things have happened. They've backtracked on so many things. They were like, yeah, you guys can do that. And like you can post like NSFW art and all that, as long as it's like artistic in nature. So then some artists came on. They're like, okay, I'm going to draw my NSFW fan art and characters and stuff like that. Then a lot of those people got banned because Twitch backpedaled that because people were literally drawing the worst, right, on stream. And then they were like, okay, well, that stuff's not allowed. And then also the mature stuff is allowed in these certain categories, but it won't be surfaced on the front page. Well, anyways.
It doesn't need to be on the front page. People, they're looking for it, you know?
So, Twitch has released the latest update to its sexual content guidelines, banning, quote, implied nudity effective immediately. The streaming platform updated its attire policy Wednesday following a meta in which streamers covered themselves with black censor bars, among other items, or positioned their camera frames to give viewers the impression that they were partially or fully naked. Twitch Chief Customer Trust Officer Angela Hessian wrote in a blog post about the update that even though some streamers participating in the meta correctly labeled their content as to be fully or partially nude, including exposing genitals or buttocks, visible outline of genitals even when covered. I didn't know people were doing that. That's interesting.
Yikes.
Broadcasting nude or partially nude minors is of course always prohibited regardless of context. Streamers who present themselves as women need to cover their nipples and be careful not to expose their underbutt. Requirements are met and it is clear the streamer is still wearing clothing. Everyone else needs to cover the area extending from their hips to the bottom of their pelvis and buttocks.
Okay. So why is the top of the breast okay, but the under part of the breast not okay?
Alec, I don't know. Listen, so I'm going to approach this from the angle of my like real life. I don't actually use Twitch that much, so I didn't know. I have not like followed this very closely.
YouTuber.
Yeah, I YouTube, and on YouTube, like none of this shit really flies. Like you wouldn't get it.
Unless you go to certain corners of YouTube.
Yeah, there's like some corners of YouTube that I know get pretty dicey. But like on Twitch, it's a lot more lax. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Twitch was a gaming site. Like I really like. I
haven't thought that in years now.
I know like I don't use it enough to maybe know like what's going on. I know like now people they do their IRL streams. They stream art. They stream cooking. They stream music, and that's like all cool. I just didn't like. I never. Like those streams where it's like someone, the camera's like right here or they're wearing the censor bar. I always find that in said stream, they're not doing anything.
Well, they kind of can if they move around too much,
Yeah, so I guess it's just, I'm always surprised that Twitch is okay with it or that people even watch it.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, a lot of those types of streams are big money makers for Twitch. I mean, really, e-girls probably have Twitch, but in like a stranglehold. Like,
yeah, and sex sells. Like at the end of the day, it's unfortunate. Everybody will kind of deny it or say this or that, but like at the end of the day, like it does seem like if there is something porn adjacent or whatever, it's going to
find its way to Twitch.
Find its way to Twitch or Twitter or whatever social media site and end up on the top page, and it will get engagement by human beings. And so, I mean, I'm glad that they're at least trying to kind of draw some lines in the sand. It feels like with Twitch though, they backpedal so gosh darn much.
Because they can't control their creators, and Twitch has a culture of these provocateurs. They're just trying to push the envelope as far as they can go, especially because they get rewarded for it. They get a ban, and they come back, and they have a bigger audience than before.
Yeah, they're big because now they get headlines, and then your "I'm back" stream gets like double the viewers as normal. And I think Twitch has to like figure out for itself like what sort of site do they want to be? Like, do they want to be the kind of scandalous?
Insert the Pornhub theme kind of track right here.
Yeah, like what do they want to be? Like, is it a gaming site? Is it an artistic site? What is artistic? I don't know. But I'm not the one. Like, these streams aren't for me. Like, I'm not the one watching these. So I guess these updates don't.
They should make a Twitch After Dark website for all of this and just have it somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't like kind of made like a spin-off site that's
just like separate, because clearly they're in too deep to like let go. Like they make too much money with these e-girls and all these like risque streams. Like, and if you can't let it go, fine, just take it somewhere else or spin it off or something. It's weird to combine that with like the biggest Minecraft streams known to mankind.
Yeah, it's like I don't really have a problem with the streams. They're not for me. I guess it's just more like I think that Twitch as a site, I didn't think that was their goal to have.
The last time I used Twitch was aggressively was back when I played a lot of Overwatch. I would watch a lot of Overwatch streams. Twitch to me was a gaming site. You went there to watch like video games be played. Yeah. Nowadays, if I turn on Twitch, it's just because like there's like a VTuber or something. I want to see what they're up to. If they're cooking something, if they're making risque jokes. So, okay. That's the only reason I'm ever on that site anymore.
Yeah, I think like different sites just have like different, like you just go to them with different things in mind. Like I never like I guess went to Twitch thinking that was like what I was looking for. But like if I wanted that, there are other sites where that's more readily like that's what it's providing. So either way, we'll see if how these guidelines stick, and if people
maybe they'll have to backpedal some more.
Yeah, will they backpedal? Will they tighten up on something? Who knows?
Who knows?
Anywho, I think it's time to draw a few cards. This is a longer podcast.
It's the first one of the year. We got to.
Yeah, we had so much. I know you guys wanted to hear everything we had to say about the wild, wacky internet.
Okay, that's better. That's better. All right, I got.
We're going to draw 2 cards. Remember, guys, you can submit your questions for the pot in the Google
Why
form.
there's so okay? Here we go.
Below.
Okay. Here you go. I feel like we've answered one like this before, but we can answer it again.
Okay.
So, any ideas for a new summoning mechanic?
Oh man, yeah. We have certainly answered this a lot.
Yeah, it's come up. Oh, I just came up with one.
Okay.
So, a summoning mechanic where you stack cards on top of each other, and the top card has the effects of the cards underneath it.
You play too much Digimon.
Yes.
But I will admit that actually sounds pretty fun. I think that could be really cool, kind of stacking up to make like a big mega monster that has like effects of everything underneath it. It feels like they've tried that mechanically with Pirelli actually.
Oh yeah.
Like if you think about how like the different Pirelli memories literally do give like kind of inherited effects to the monster, giving it attack, extra effects, different little things.
And actually it'll be Nightmare on the board state.
It would, yeah. Like physically, I remember like when Pirelli first came out, there were actually like little joke meme posts about like somebody who had like 20 materials or something under a Pirelli monster, and like this could unironically actually occur like in
spills into zones,
in a normal game. Yeah, it's like spilling into zones and stuff. So, but they have tried that with Pirelli.
Yeah.
So it's on Konami's radar. I was gonna say, I mean, like the only way that I can think of like just summoning a monster now that we haven't maybe explored, and we technically still have explored this, is like shuffling the monsters into the deck, like the materials into the deck.
Contact Fusion.
Which, yeah, Contact Fusion in general doesn't necessarily do that, but you're thinking of Gladiator Beast specifically.
Oh, and Neospacians.
Yeah, because, like, Thunder Dragon's, like, Contact Fuse, but they don't.
Oh, that's
so,
true.
You know.
The old Contact
Fusion.
Fusion.
There's, like, Ritual Beast thing they banished themselves. So, I know, like, that's something. I think there's some balance there, just because, like, by not sending the monsters to the grave, by putting them back in the deck, they're far less exploitable.
Right.
Because part of the thing with, like, Link monsters is, like, oh, Link 1, I just link away my thing that searches when it goes to grave, and it immediately kind of gets the combos moving. So if you put this stuff back into the deck, there's something there. I mean, like, we've seen Contact Fusion explore that, or even like TR Elements have kind of, they do that to some degree. I also thought maybe like 2 monsters with matching attack points or something. You do something with them. It doesn't go any further than that. That's part of the
something. Just it's something.
I mean, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't really have any shortage of ways to just turn 2 monsters into something, and I actually think that the way that links are designed has made it so, it's like, I don't want to say lowered the bar, but it kind of has, to the point where it's just like, well, how does it get any? I mean, links, you just
They just link up.
Yeah,
I don't
you just
know.
link them up. It's like 2 monsters with
know.
different names, or 2 monsters with different, like just 2 effect monsters.
2 non-token effect
whatever.
monsters.
Like they. So I mean, it'd be tough to really make it. I don't know what you do. Like,
who knows?
Maybe something with columns.
Maybe some with columns.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do that with the way our boards work now. I'm not sure, but
My last opinion I'll throw in is I don't think we actually need one.
I agree.
I think that Yu-Gi-Oh we're into far too deep.
You have too many.
And teaching people, like, so this is kind of separate from the question. I'll be quick though. Is when you interview normal people, the 2 biggest jumping off points that Yu-Gi-Oh has had in the past: intro of pendulums, intro of links. This is like, I know that there are people like listening to this and they're like, okay, well, who cares? Those are just filthy casual Yu-Gi Boomer trash. But the way that the normal person views Yu-Gi-Oh is an important thing for like the viability and stuff of the game. And so a lot of people cite pendulums as like, oh, that's when they started making monsters into spells, and that's when I got off the boat, right? Or like, oh, they made those link monsters where the pointy, the arrows, and the all that, and so like it was too much for me. I left. And there's you'll hear that a lot from people, and so I just think like if you were to make another summoning thing,
it's so super strange.
It's got like some arrows and some numbers and some scales, and it's half this and half that. It's like
it'll be a die. It'll be a die. The card's a die.
Yeah, the monster's on a die.
Just gotta roll it out there.
It's on a 6-sided die. It just sets in the field. So yeah, I think that might spell even more of a fall off from Yu-Gi-Oh that they maybe don't want to risk. Like I've got a kind of like slight conspiracy theory that Konami did have a plan to introduce like a Master Rule 5. And I think that they probably shelved it, seeing the reception and like maybe player retention loss.
Yeah, the last two mechanics have not been great.
I mean, listen, dude. I think Lynx recently overtook Xyz for most banned monsters or something on the ban list.
Let's go.
I mean, we've banned so many Link monsters now. It's like none of them even use their mechanics anymore. They don't point and stuff. Like the arrow stuff barely matters.
Like, if you buy a pack of Link, like if you get like what was that called, like the Link Brains
Dual
pack,
Overload and the Link Brain, yeah,
like
half that shit's banned.
Half that's gone.
Yeah, and the ones that are played today aren't played for their arrows. Access code OTKs you either way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
you're going down.
So yeah, I hate to be the bearer of like bad news or like be the Grinch here, but
I think the Asker knew.
I don't think
the Asker knows we don't need anymore. What you got?
Will we ever get physical Rush Duel?
I don't think so.
It's not feeling likely, and here's why.
They're in Duel Links.
Yeah, they added Rush Duel to Duel Links. I think that they did it as a low risk way of kind of releasing Rush Duels kind of to a Western audience or worldwide, you could say. And I think that they are watching carefully to see how it is received and how it's played. Well, I took a gander.
What you look at?
On Twitch the other day and YouTube to see like who is streaming Duel Links. I saw some people, obviously Master Duel already sort of cannibalized Duel Links.
Right.
That's not a secret. But in addition to that, the people streaming Duel Links, there were a few. There's even like one kind of larger channel. Don't remember the name. None of them are even streaming Rush Duel mode.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of reasons this could probably be. Any guesses? I mean, what do you... I paid
quite a bit of attention to Rush Duel's implementation in Duel Links. I don't play a lot of Duel Links right now, but that's because I have a bad habit with spending too much money when I play, so I limit myself. From the game. If I play the game, I'm going to spend. So, but anyway, Rush Duel's implementation in Duel Links was a bit... It was fine, but it's still a bit of a miss. Like, one, you're splitting the player base.
Yeah.
Because you can't play both modes at the same time. And then the products that they sell, because they sell them in boxes, you have to have separate boxes for Rush Duel and Speed Duels. It's just how it has to be because the cards aren't interchangeable. But almost more importantly, Rush Duel starts from point zero in their game and in their format. When Duel Links players have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for years, they don't actually want to go back to the simplest version of Yu-Gi-Oh, even if it is a new format and a way to play the game. They want to play a more interactive game. They want to play with stronger cards, and Rush Duel didn't have that.
Kind of reached that yet. Yeah, I was gonna say too. My understanding of Rush Duel and Duel Links is also that like there's not kind of different like game worlds and stuff, like how like. Duel Links has those like speed duel, like turbo duel,
Rush Duel is a game world.
And it's kind of its own game world, but because there is not enough variety on offer, that kind of feels like that might have hurt it some.
And then the last thing I want to say is in the Rush Duel has their own ladder for PvP, and at least when it was implemented, the ladder was shorter. You would reach max rank or King of Games rank much faster in Rush Duels. And that's kind of fine because of how repetitive the games were because of the smaller card pool. You would kind of quickly reach your max rank, and there wasn't much reason to play anymore, at least not until they got new cards. And that has been the story with Rush Duels in Duel Links since.
Yeah, I think that, if you'll permit me to make a bit of a bold claim, I think that Konami was afraid that Rush Duel would just fail if they released it in the West.
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
Gasp, it's hard to release a card game. The number one topic on this podcast overall is there are too many card games.
Yeah, we should rename the pod. Too many card games. Agreed.
Yeah. And some card games have to kind of die for others to succeed.
Some have to lose. Come on, Digimon. Hold on.
Losers. And I think that when you look at how Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself already is, like just kind of the modern TCG, it's doing fine and it's maintaining, but a lot of that is on the back of just it being one of the big three. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is allowed to kind of like fumble around, have some bad formats, or be expensive, or have some underperforming
It can really just do what it wants.
Yeah, some things go wrong, it's fine. But like, would Rush Duel, which admittedly Rush Duel solves a lot of problems that like Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe had, like the complaints people have with Yu-Gi-Oh! But I don't know that it on its own has the star power to actually sell a full like kind of game from scratch, and I think Konami is aware of that.
I think Rush Duels could do that, but I think Konami specifically doesn't want to go through the time and effort it takes to do it.
There's a lot that goes
Rush
into
Duel
that, yeah.
was designed to appeal to kids, the new generation, and to older Yu-Gi-Oh players who kind of just love the franchise and love the game. The problem is, as we've seen, any Yu-Gi-Oh player can tell you right now, Konami has no idea how to market to kids right now.
Yeah,
absolutely
kids are not
no
hopping
clue.
into Yu-Gi-Oh. That's for
And,
sure.
like,
The
so-
people watching Yu-Gi-Oh are millennials and like some Gen Zers, but like that's. I mean, there's not even really like an anime airing. Like I know they have that anime on Cartoon Network, but I swear if you told me it didn't exist,
I believe you.
like it's like you know like what the Berenstein Bears or whatever. What is that called?
What do you mean?
The effect where it's
Oh,
like,
the Mandela effect.
the Mandela. It's like I feel like if someone told me that Rush Duel or like Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens or whatever the anime like wasn't airing for some reason, I'd believe you.
The
Like I just feel like I don't hear about it.
because today's kids, at least in the West, they're not consuming media in the way that we did when we were children. And Konami and really many companies have absolutely no idea how to reach them. The answer is Fortnite, Konami. Fortnite. Get in Fortnite. Like, come on, man. But anyway, they don't really know how to market to these kids. And Rush Duel is supposed to be this kind of two-pronged attack hitting kids and the older demographic. Konami knows the older demographic is there, but that's not enough to keep a game going, especially since we already have normal Yu-Gi-Oh to play. So they're like, okay, what's the next best thing we can do? We tried the Switch game. They did,
I mean, and I think that they got out what they put in with that game. I'm sorry.
It just
I
wasn't
think
that good of a
did not. The game was fine. It was totally functional. I'm not
It just
suggesting
could have been
was,
a
like,
lot
awful.
better.
It's just that it didn't. Yeah,
It was not a modern game.
that's true. That is true. It kind of runs on that like slightly olderish engine that they've used for like, those older Legacy of the Duelist titles and stuff. So will we ever get physical Rush Duel? I think no.
Nah.
I remember there was an interview where it was like a Japanese interview where like it translated, the guy was like, yeah, when asked about that, he's like, well, we'll see how Rush Duel does in Duel Links and we'll decide from there. He kind of insinuated that. I don't think that he said
Right.
that like straight up. But I think that based on what I've kind of seen of Rush Duels and adoption in Duel Links, it's not looking
It doesn't
right.
feel likely. And that's a shame because I think a lot of the new stuff that they're introducing in Japan would do well in the West.
Yeah.
But a lot of the early Rush Duel stuff is just not going to do it.
Also, I apologize for the last like minute or two. My mic was like really far away, so sorry guys if you couldn't hear me.
They
very
could hear
well.
you fine.
Moral of the story: I don't know that Rush Duels has great chances. Anyway,
All right, so if Maxi was banned in Master Duel, what would happen? A what if question.
no, that's a great question for me. I play loads of it.
Yeah, so if there were no Maxi, what would
I
happen?
think. Oh God, it's a fucking card. I know people like to meme about Maxi all the time, and there's like this whole like Maxi, it's very broken and it's unfair, and it is, right? It's a broken and unfair card. But I think this is a real case of you won't know what you had until it's gone. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I mean like if Master Duel banned Maxi, I think that the proliferation of just really, really, really long combo decks would be huge. I mean, people ask this on like Reddit every day and stuff like that with like Droll and Lockbird currently in the TCG. Droll and Lockbird kind of exists, and it's kind of pinning down decks like Manatium that search a lot and Dark World that search a lot and have like some degenerate FTKs, but they're unreliable because like Droll and Lockbird ends their turn.
Yeah, done.
And it kind of fills a somewhat similar role to Maxi, and I think that like people are beginning to at least clue into the fact that Droll has to exist in these like really high combo deck formats because it slows things down and keeps stuff in check. And I think that if Master Duel were to ban Maxi, the casual player experience would go from like some people like it, some people don't, to misery. There are decks with turns that can go so long on Master Duel, Alec, you wouldn't believe.
Timer's going out, y'all.
You wouldn't believe. I mean, like I feel like we would have more time. You get some timeout victories, and they'd pray for that. Because I'm telling you, man, like I have gone on Master Duel some nights, and like when I don't open with hand traps in just diamond rank, whatever, people will play and play and play. And like I know it's like a joke about the 10-minute turns thing, but it can't actually approach that because of just kind of the time between like interactions and like the waiting thing. Like, or just they've gone through half their deck and they're still going and they're like on engine number 16. And it's like, when does it end? And then it ends and you're dealing with Thunder Dragon Colossus, Barone, other thing, DPE, Apollosa or something. And it's like,
I find oftentimes when they're playing, if your someone's playing like a real combo deck in Master Duel, they're expecting your Max C and either they can negate it or their real plan is to deck you out when you drop it.
Yeah. And listen, I know that Max C is not the best answer to any of this. I've accepted Max. It's a bullshit card, right? It'll steal you some wins. Oh no, a card in a card game stole you a win. Great, but like, I promise that if that thing was gone, I think Master Duel would just it would just really be a miserable time.
Yeah,
especially because I know people kind of claim that Max C feels worse in this best of one format. I actually think the absence of Max C would make that best of one thing really feel like robbery when you lose these coin flips, wait 10 minutes, and lose immediately.
Think we would need floodgates even more, but that doesn't help you going second. Like,
it would just, I don't know. That's my thing. Is like, I know Max C's BS. I just think that like it's kind of one of those. It's a martyr for a bigger problem that Yu-Gi-Oh has hiding behind it. And the TCG can kind of handle it. There's best 2 out of 3, so you can just accept that you'll lose game 1, but game 2 you can side in your bullshit and then make it to game 3 and pray. But in Master Duel, I think in best of 1, Max C makes more sense than you probably would give it credit for.
Right.
So that is my answer.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know if you have any take on that.
I
as well,
don't. My take has to be your take. I'm not the expert. I'm not even close to being an expert here.
I mean, hey, I'm not even calling myself an expert. I'm just saying like I know what I think Max C would. Or Master would look like without it, in my opinion.
I'll defer to the Master Duelist.
Thank you. That means a lot. Okay, next question.
Here we go. What do we got? What's our final? That's not a question.
That is not a.
Can he find one? Is there even one in there?
There's definitely there's a few. There's a few. Okay. All right. Here's one.
That looks long.
Here's a kind of a longer one. I'll end this on a long note. How would you change the side deck to be more fair? Would you, for instance, reduce the size of it from 15 cards to, say, 10? Would you only allow it to be used between Game 1 and Game 2, but not Game 2 and Game 3? Or would you allow only maybe one copy each of cards in the side deck? Those are just some of the examples.
All right, so I want to raise a structural issue with this question. It makes us have to assume that the side deck is unfair in general in order to answer this question.
Yeah, that's something I was going to kind of talk about because I have seen a little bit of discourse about this in the last few months, and I didn't. Mm-hmm. It's kind of in the undercurrents. This isn't like everyone saying get rid of the side thing. You have to be
fairly competitive to have this take.
Yeah. But I have heard some dissenters of the side deck, and I'm not claiming to be one. I'm just going to present some of the general arguments that they make, and then we can decide from there like how we feel about it. But some people feel that the side deck is too polarizing, especially in the modern day where typically the side deck cards for a matchup are outright blowouts.
Right.
Now, recently there's been a bit of a clampdown on floodgates, but up until now that was a big part of the side deck thing is like, you side in floodgates. You side in Gozen. You side in there can be only one. Rivalry, whatever it is.
You side in the most painful cards you can.
The most painful floodgate for your opponent and they get a guaranteed kind of game 2 win. There's also the board breakers thing where, most people don't really main deck board breakers. They side them in. Mm-hmm. So, you side it in. It's like it's unfair, unrespondable card, dark roller, super poly, sphere mode, blah, 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 blah. And there are some people who also just kind of generally feel that the side deck has gotten a little bit stale because the answers to most decks tend to be about the same things. It's either like board breaker or floodgate, and then that's kind of it, or like spell trap removal or something. Like it's just, It's not a very exciting concept, like because of things. It's very, I'm not so. I'm Master Duel pilled, I'll admit.
Yeah, he doesn't know what that is. What is a side deck?
That's what they, I'm so used to playing a lot of Master Duel. I've obviously played plenty of the TCG. I've sided a card or two in my day. I've side decked a few cards.
I've been a pretty heavy sider in my past.
I get it. But I made a video the other week about like how maybe Yu-Gi-Oh could try out like a best of one format just to see. And I know that's like a pretty contentious take. But one of the alternative takes that I saw actually was Yu-Gi-Oh shouldn't do best of one, but instead they should keep doing best of 3 but not have side decks. And I thought that was an interesting one. And I didn't know that people had that opinion until, just when I did the video. And I think that there's merit to it. Mm-hmm. And here's where the merit comes from in my eyes. We're going to zoom out some and get a little abstract. So for the listeners out there who are like, what the hell, Paul, this is crazy, just hear me out and you can feel free to think I'm a dumbass, whatever. Konami's not consulting me
you
for
dumbass.
Instance. So, side decks are pretty cool and like they let you kind of adapt to difficult matchups.
Right. But
really, aren't they kind of like a crutch in a way? One might argue. Like it's so you and I have this duel and we've prepared our decks.
Right.
You've made your deck, you've made your preparations, I've made my deck, I've made my preparations, and you beat me in game one.
As I should.
Well, that's no fair. That was BS that you beat me. You know what? Now that I know what you're playing, here, let me take my side deck, and I'm just going to side in the cards that automatically beat you.
I see what you're getting
at. And in game two, I get to pick to go first this time. I get to. Because see, even whether I went first or second in game one, you beat me either way. But in game two, I get to pick. I get to pick who goes first. And I know exactly what you're playing, so I can like pick the floodgates that stop you, or the board breaker that stops you, or whatever the hand trap. And now I get to put it in, and then we duel, and like I win, haha, I win, I made up for that loss, haha. Like see, as it should be, right? I'm being a person here, I'm in a character. Is that like okay, like what is that sort of saying about my kind of skill as a duelist or like skill as a deck builder and preparer of tournaments?
There's different. So, I follow a lot of sports and a lot of like games and whatnot. There's a lot of different ways of handling a competitive environment. Mm-hmm. In most competitive situations, we find that multiple iterations of a game evens out like external variables. So like externalities will kind of get rubbed down.
Yeah.
That's why
championships like best of sevens or whatever.
Playoffs in NBA, best of 7. Most games want to play best of 3, sometimes 5s. They do multiple iterations to try and make it as scale based as possible. And then there are games that you don't really have recourse for what your opponent's running. I know in competitive Pokemon, your team is kind of your team. If I remember correctly, you don't use your full team in a VGC match, and like you can
use 4,
not the whole, but you can then switch in like your other 2 between rounds or whatever. I guess in a weird way, that's your side in Pokemon. Just those other 2 Pokemon have to be able to like pick up the slack for whatever beats your current team. And in competitive sports, you have your bench. And that's kind of like your side deck in sports when your starters are losing to their starters, and now you have to make decisions and substitutions to try and make a difference.
There are even card games, just to kind of follow along your example. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you had another.
No, keep going.
Where like I know, is it Cardfight Vanguard where you pre-side? There's some card games. I don't know if that's the one, but there's card games where you pre-side, which I thought was like bizarre.
I don't remember what game that was where they pre-sided, but I forgot. But I know what you're talking about.
I guess so. I think every game has an element of like you are able to make adjustments to your strategy. Mm-hmm. Like in a competitive fighting game, you could like change characters or whatever. So that's there. I think Yu-Gi-Oh's big distinguishing thing is just that the side deck is so polarizingly strong in comparison to a lot of the examples that we've made. And that's obviously subjective.
I mean...
But, like, so think about, like, a basketball game, right?
Right.
Your
bench is not as strong as, like, starters.
Yeah, your bench is... Like, the people you have in your starters are generally going to be, like, your strongest players. And then also, I mean, like, I guess between games... And it's not going to be the best example.
There's not too many changes
like,
you can make.
Don't... Like, your entire roster is kind of set. Like...
Right.
So, I don't know. In Yu-Gi-Oh, I see where people are coming from when they maybe say that the side deck is a bit of like cheating a little bit. I get to see your whole thing and then side in exactly what beats you. But one might argue, well, okay, that's not really much different than just coming up with a different strategy for game 2 of the NBA game, or like, you know, just in Smash Brothers kind of choosing to adapt in a different, like Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just a little more polarizing than that.
Just because the cards are that strong. The cards in your main deck are pretty strong too. And the card in the side deck have to be, or is a crazy card, but there are matchups where it does nothing.
It's, I think, too, a symptom of like the polarity of the going first, going second part, where we
a tip off
like concurrently. We still both make decisions at completely the same time. Counter it. It's just, it's so overwhelmingly favorable for me.
I think what it gives you is just another type of whole metagame to that. But I think it's actually just as viable to have Yu-Gi-Oh without side decking. We would strategize differently. And I don't think one's really better than another.
So when
I guess
look at
side decking lets you just use some really crazy cards.
Yeah, I think side decking can probably create more like blowout feeling games where like they feel more just polarized, more like harsh. You know, you just didn't get to play. Right.
And you kept bringing your anti-spell fragrances against my pendulums.
Yeah, it can create non-games for sure.
We weren't friends.
I think, yeah, I know. Floodgate, and like it kind of does that. So I think with like Yu-Gi-Oh, if sides, but you have to make different decisions with the main deck that you're still locked into. Maybe you'll make a different in-board. Maybe you'll prioritize different things.
I don't think it gets better if you cut down the size of the deck. The cards are still going to be strong. They just won't be able to cover it.
Like anti-spell fragrance shuts down pendulum. You know what I mean? Like, okay, the second one would be
it will be
that's something.
But cards have like replacements and like the kind of like worse versions of them. You'll just stick in every single applicable card that shuts down.
Yeah, you're locked in. So it's like when you beat me game 1, well, I'm going to go first in game 2 and side in the exact floodgates to beat you. Well, now in game 3, those are locked in. So, you know,
that is interesting. It's interesting, but then it also it kind of puts you in a losing position if you lose game 1.
Yeah, then it makes it, that could be pretty miserable.
You have to play with your going second cards going first, and that could just really mess you up.
I like that, like as in a current system, siding when going into game, because you can actually play a bit of a mind game. So like, you know, in game 2, like, okay, I'm just going to go first, going to side in my floodgates. But what if in game 3, instead of going first, you actually choose to go second?
Yeah.
And you play the mind game where I'm like, oh, he's going to just go first. I'll take out my floodgates, put in my board breakers. Then you choose to make me go first. And I can't make an opening board. And now you go second, OTK me, and like my lightning storms and all that stuff. And so I think that there is something really fun there in the side decking department. So I don't want to suggest that I'm like, but it's always fun to talk about it. Okay.
Well, speaking of talking about it, I think we've talked enough.
Yeah, I've talked enough for a lifetime. It's been a great first podcast of the year, but it's been also podcast platforms.
And give us more questions for our pod.
Is great. And yeah, those
pod,
are questions
not pod.
Yeah.
Well, that both.
Both, yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next one.